Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Cruz.
This is Dan.
This
Stone.
is Dexter from The
This
Offspring.
is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is David Labb.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick
I'm
Gillette.
Krista
This is
Vernoff.
Dr. Bob Greenberg.
I'm Laird Hamilton.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, I'm Mark Valley.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
This is Ron Tromantano from the virtual competition, and we are here on the Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero, Mark Valley, and Pete A. Turner.
This is fantastic. Ron is from Florida, from Boca, and I used to live just a little bit south in Margate, so we're practically neighbors from another time. He's owned his karate studio for 32 years. We're for sure going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the virtual event concept that he's developed, so we're going to jump right into it. One of the things that's great about having the Break It Down Show, Ron, is that I get to meet all these incredible people doing incredible things, and especially given the problems of Parkland, which is basically almost halfway between you and I, when my time in Florida and your time in Florida is, what do we do with kids to continue to give them opportunities to do things, and as adults, when we lose that ability to compete athletically, how do we continue to find other? I mean, look, being in a gym, it's drudgery. It's like a medieval torture thing, and I'm not talking about a dojo because that's a different thing. How does one go from I'm in school, I'm going to go maybe get a black belt, to 32 years later running a dojo? Let's talk about that. How did you get into that?
My education is as a microwave engineer, all right? I used to work for the phone company, and what we used to do was anything that happened live within New York City used to come through me and a group I belonged to within the phone company. So things like presidential elections, when the Pope came in, I was there. When the hostages came back, I was there. You're running around all over New York with this thing. We had offices in every studio, ABC, CBS, NBC, all of these places. We used to set up studio to transmitter links. We used to set up microwave and shoot to a building and then give it off to the broad. That started basically what I started out to go ahead and do. Then once I left New York, I came down here to Florida. I actually studied with my instructor, Master Don Southerton, who was the chief instructor for West Point Military Academy at that time. I met him. I wanted, myself and my children to go ahead and do this. And, time passes and you ended up with a black belt.
Right. Oops.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, but that's how things work. Time passes, and if you like what you're doing, you keep doing it.
Right. And
things happen. I moved down here probably in 84. We opened up this school in 86, and Master Southerton was my partner at that time. A year later, I bought him out, and 32 years later, I'm sitting here talking with you. Life, that's what it is. It's just life.
Yeah, I know it's life, but there's moments along there that sweeten life, right? So as you're sitting there doing back kicks with Master Sutherland, whatever, when did it occur to you like I might need to keep doing this, or I might need to buy the master out? And how does that come along? I mean, that's a big realization, man. To I'm going to invest my life into karate and making money doing this.
Well, I was hired out of New York to come down here and build a communications company and communication system, set up microwave transmissions. So I used to go ahead and do that. And it was funny because I found myself with a lot of time on my hands. And I remember my boss telling me, he says, I'd never see you working. And I told him, I says, that's a good thing, because if I'm working, you're in trouble. And so he just kind of went along with it. And I had all of this time. So I opened up the studio. It started to take off. We started signing people up. A year later, I bought him out. It's just a great, Peter, I come to work with no shoes on every day.
Yeah, and you make everybody else take their shoes off too, right? It's a good thing.
And that's exactly right. This is the absolute best job anybody could ever have, because you know what, if you love what you do, Peter, It's not like working a day in your life.
Never going to work. Right. No, totally. I agree. I mean, this is like the podcasting thing. There's challenges for sure, but I just love doing it. I love having these interactions. And so, yeah. And guess what? I'm not wearing shoes right now in my own little dojo here. So, yeah, for sure. So I know I used to, back in the olden times, I used to box a little bit. And, you have certain things that are your go-to things, like I was always in better shape than the person I fought. I never got very high, like where that starts to go away. I could figure out their tells, because again, we were all kind of sloppy, and I'm like, oh, this guy's going to do this, and I would just protect, and then I had a pretty hard head. And with those three things combined, my inability to hit other people and everything else, I didn't have like a magic, some of those guys just have a punch. You're just like, God, I hope he never hits me with that. I absolutely cannot, and I've worked for years, and it's way better than it used to be. I cannot throw a lead left hook. Like if I'm standing in a southpaw stance and I throw my left hand, and I'm ambidextrous, so I can do both hands pretty well, but I cannot hurt a fly with my lead left hook. But my body blows, especially from my right hand, are particularly effective. What would you say and you're a black belt many times over, but what do you think, like, this was the skill that, like, boy, my axe kicks were terrible for 10 years and I finally figured it out. And then what's the thing that you always had a knack for?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. Martial arts wise, I'm very good at copying moves. Okay, I can duplicate moves, so I'm pretty good in that area. But I think my forte is more in teaching. I have the ability to go ahead and teach children very well. Okay. All right, and if you're going to be in this business, you have to know how to go ahead and teach. You have to have a vocabulary that starts out at a 3-year-old and works it right up to the 90-year-old.
Right.
You just have to have that. Thank God that's basically what I would say. Attribute my success to.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, it's too bad that John's not joining us too. He's one of my co-hosts, and he and one of his friends that was a police officer, they started basically a free dojo, and that's one of the things that John is particularly good at, is identifying where your thing is, and maybe you're the person he pulls out and you work on some particular technique, and he's just really good at identifying that. And I know he doesn't do it as much as he used to, but he really, it's changed his life and how he sees things when you get a chance to work with someone and advance them through something that's really tough to do. And yet, like, it's so physical, like you have to touch one another. You have to be, you're sweating. It's like eating, when you break bread with someone, when you go work out in the dojo with something and you hold a bag and you feel their power and all that. It's unique, man, right?
Something, one thing I can tell you is that I've been in a lot of dojangs in my life, and I've trained with a lot of people. And something, there is no prejudice, there is no race, there is nothing that takes people away from each other. When you're in this environment, there's only one way to act, and everybody acts that way.
Right.
It's amazing. It's really amazing. If there are, moms, dads out there that are listening, best thing that you could do is to put your child into a good martial arts school. Make sure it's clean. Check out the instructors. You'll know, believe me, if it's a place you want, if it has any value for your family. And really the best thing that you could ever do.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right about that. We've talked a good bit about your background and your time in New York and the communication stuff that you built, this significant dojo that you've built up and everything. And all of that stuff has sort of led you to this virtual competition idea. Let's talk about the idea, but I also want you to hit on the point of, how did you come up with this idea? Like, what was the genesis of that? Because that's always fascinating to me, is like, then I had this thought, like the bar napkin, I drew it out and I was like, I can do this. So let's talk about what it is, because it's definitely a unique idea. And then how the heck did that moment happen when you figured out that this is something you need to put your time into?
That is an interesting story, because in the 90s, I'd say about 96, I was starting a television network called the Martial Arts Action Network. And at that time, you probably had maybe about 50-something channels. Cable was just coming out. So what we did is I had a couple of, you always run into students that are really sharp people. And I had a gentleman here called Tony Interdonato. He's since passed. A couple of people, Ron Valley, Tony Interdonato, some of these guys. And we first started with an internet site, which is still up, by the way. It's called T-Man, TMAN.com. And it's still there from 1986, I believe.
Wow.
At that time, we were receiving like 1 million hits a month on there, Peter. It was amazing. Everybody used to come in from all over the world, sign our guest book. It was something really to see.
Yeah.
And, we decided one day that, you know what, let's try to do this cable thing. Let's see if we could get ourselves on. First, the thought was just on community cable. Then, Tony and I had an idea. Let's go all out for this. Let's see what we can do. And then we started to go to some of the cable shows. And I am talking, we were there when all of these different shows were just coming out. What were some of them that were, oh man, can't even think of anything that you could think of, any kind of cable show. I mean, the Golf Channel was coming out at around the same time. You had so many different ones that were coming out, and we were there and we had our booth. And when you go to these things, you're looking at, I think we spent about $60,000 just going.
Yeah.
Okay. To have a booth made up. Time Warner came over to the booth. They were talking to us. We ended up here in Universal Studios. We had offices there. But I was always the type of guy. I love the martial arts. I love what it does for kids. Every martial artist, if you own a school, you're always looking for some way more money to the school. Okay?
Right.
Try different things. We have activities on the weekend. We do different things. Well, I was running tournaments at that time, and I had tournaments. I mean, I'd get maybe 500, 600, 700 people to one of my tournaments out there in Boca. And so I really knew how to run, the tournament circuit. So I decided, well, here's the internet. Internet's popping up, and just around that time. I said, well, what happens if we could do this on the internet? And people were saying, you're crazy. How are you going to go ahead and do this? And they were right, because the technology really wasn't there at that time. But I kept playing with this, and I kept coming back to it. And then about 5 years ago, I said, we're going to start doing it. Technology was right. We started to put it together. Well, I started to put it together, and I got some good developers, and we started making this thing happen. And now, not only for martial arts, as we were developing, we saw that it did everything. It does dance, it does gymnastics. I don't care what kind of business model you have, you could do this on the platform. Not only that, you could also compete with any other martial arts school anywhere in the world. You can compete against them. Okay, so the platform is used. How this basically works, and it's very simple. What we do is we sell the platform for a one-time fee of $95. It's not a platform you join, it's a platform you own. So you, as an owner, now would come and you would go ahead and you would create the event, right? If it's a martial arts event, great. If it's a dance school or gymnastics school, whatever the event is, then you create the categories of competition. So if I'm going to talk martial arts because I know that the best. But let's say it's self-defense, knife defense, Kali. What you do is you create those categories and you charge entry fees just like going to any other event into your competition. So your students would pay you entry fees, which go directly into your PayPal account, and you keep all of those entry fees. That belongs to you. That's how you, as an owner of the platform, make your money. How I make my money is that every person, every competitor around the world that would compete on this platform would pay an annual fee. Well, right now it's $25. All right. So it's a big money project. All right. It has the ability to do a lot of really great things. We have people there are people all over the world. You know, we had just had the Olympics.
Yeah.
There are people all over the world that for some reason they can't get to the Olympics, or they don't have the money to get to the Olympics, or they're taking care of sick relatives or whatever it is. But they know in their hearts and their minds that these records that are being set by our Olympic athletes, they can beat every single day. Third world countries. Today, everybody has a phone.
Yeah.
These people can they can go ahead, make the video, send it to the platform, and we could find these people. We could see who, all right? That's one thing that the platform is capable of doing.
Yeah.
There's so much. I mean, we have, what's unique too is that all of the videos that are sent up to the platform, they are shown in 3D theaters. Now, the 3D theaters that I have up there are really basic ones because I had to pay for it. That's why they're basic ones. But we're looking at, we want Apple, we want Sony, we want Microsoft, LG. We want these people. I don't even want money from them. All I want from them is to go ahead and build me a 3D theater. When a child's video is up on that platform, mom sends it to Facebook, Twitter, G+. It goes all over the world. Grandparents see it, and it now just think, parent comes up, maybe they choose the Apple theater to go ahead and watch this video in.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe they want something from Apple. So out comes an avatar on stage, and it talks a little bit about the Apple products, and all of a sudden you're seeing your grandchild up on the stage, and he's doing his video. It's a phenomenal thing to really watch. It's a lot of fun. If you click on any one of those videos, you'll see it.
No, it is a great idea. I wanted to ask you too, because one of the things is whether you're competing at the Olympic level, at the elite Olympic level, or just competing. Like one of the things that my family and I have started doing, especially I think it was one Summer Olympics ago, maybe it was two, but we would try to pick the person that was going to come in last place. And it totally changed how we enjoyed the Olympics, because look, they're all there. They're all special. They're all doing these incredible things. But now instead of worrying about just the one person, like we were all cheering for our person, and then again try to pick like, that's my guy right there, that lady, she's gonna come, and you're able to enjoy the whole thing. Of course, you enjoy the winner, but for that kid that's out there competing, and it's like, I think I'm pretty fast in the quarter mile, 400 meters. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like go out and throw it up there and have something to compete against. See what elite looks like. Whatever that thing is. Can you do team sports too? Like, could you do badminton? I mean, That's an Olympic sport.
We can. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you on the last part, but we can do team. Yes.
Okay, so you can do badminton. I mean, that's an Olympic sport. How do you do something like badminton?
Well, badminton is played. You're going to play with two players. Basically, it's the same. It would be the same way we do the fighting. You can't, because we're on the internet, you can't have two people that are going to fight against each other because they're not in the same place.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to compete. But we do something what we call randori. So randori is learning how to manage three bodies at the same time. So one person would come up and he would introduce himself. He would tell you a little bit about himself. He's making himself a little 4-minute reality show. Okay. I'm so-and-so. I'm this age. I go to this school. I've been training martial arts for this long. I'm going to be trying to manage these three people at the same time. And then all of a sudden they have helmets on, and you see three people attack this guy, and he's doing it. He's taking care of it. And that's how you would have to go ahead and do badminton too. You'd have to do things like that.
This is the thing, though. So the thought that as long as the pace of innovation exceeds the pace of automation, we're always going to have new ways to do things. So here we are. We have a whole new way of approaching a sport. And this is just one avenue. Someone else somewhere just thought, I know how to do this.
There you go.
We are going to have virtual competitions. This is like, you're right. You're there. Maybe it was crazy 20 years ago, but it is a thing now between augmented and mixed realities. You're going to throw on a headset. You're going to go into some kind of a theater, whether it's 3D or something else. You are going to have, we had a woman on the show. We haven't put the show up yet, but her name is Amber Case, and she is a cyborg anthropologist. And I'm saying that slow because what the fuck is that? So a cyborg, but we're all cyborgs, right? We all have multiple presences on different social medias. By the way, we're talking to Ron Tromantano, who you can find him on LinkedIn. If you can't spell Tromantano, look up Pete A. Turner. Grab me on Twitter. We'll get you linked up. But also their website is called virtualmaevents.com. Virtualmaevents.com. But we're going to have these things where we can compete one-on-one in any number of things. Like the football, okay, great, that'll happen. But there's going to be a whole plenitude of new ways, new competitions, new ways of doing things. And it's much more individualized. Like if you didn't like football growing up, what did you play? Basketball? Well, you probably didn't like basketball either. Then all of a sudden we had extreme sports and you had a different route. And there was always the martial art route. But now you really literally can do basically anything, make up your own game, and then start to compete around the planet. Because like you said, everybody's got a phone. I'm going to shut up and let you talk now, but give me an idea of what you do see.
Okay, here's what. Let's say you're a basketball. You could be a basketball player anywhere in the world, and you're one of these guys that just keeps sinking that ball. You could do a video and show us.
Right.
I mean, you're looking for people that can play basketball. If you want to you're a football player, show us how well you could quarterback. We could see it. People, and it's real easy. We have two ways of judging on this website. You have the social media way, which is star votes and views, and that's really fantastic because you really get the public out there and they look at these things and they vote. Okay, they'll let you know if you're good or you're bad.
Right.
And then you also have judges. You have actual judges. Judges can basically. Like I own a school, all right? So in my school, I have instructors, I have teachers. So I can make my teachers, I can give them a specialized code that when you go up to the software is intelligent. It knows you're just not looking for star votes and views. You're looking for the best overall competitor. Mm-hmm. So that's how you could go ahead and judge. It's just like going to an event and being in a ring or a dance contest, having judges sit there and judge you. You could do the same thing if you wanted to do it. Let's say I wanted to compete with, say, 5 schools, one in China, Brazil, or all of these different schools. They would use their judges just like at a competition.
Yeah.
So that would work. It's pretty neat as far as the way they can do different things.
Yeah.
What we do, too, for the school owners, we launched last year in July at U.S. Open here in Florida, which is a huge martial arts event done by Mike Sawyer and his people, really big. And we sponsored that event. We were one of the sponsors. We were up on stage handing out, I love it, some of these kids are phenomenal, really phenomenal. After that event, we got on a plane. We went down to Vegas. And we went to the MGM, and we continued the launch at the MGM.
Huh.
All right. We're right now, we're at the point of looking for investors and people that really understand marketing. I was supposed to be on Shark Tank in 2014. Actually, Sony Pictures gave me a call. I didn't call them. They gave me a call. They found out what we were doing. And they gave me a call, and they gave me an interview. And they moved me up to level 2, which was make a video and fill out a 67-page application because we're going to move you to level 2. Well, I did all of that. They gave me about a week to do it, and I did all of that. For some reason, I believe because it was kind of late in their year for picking, and there was like 50,000 people that already had gone through the process.
Right.
So didn't end up getting called. But I did go ahead. I put it in for this year. Maybe we could go back. But if I got a Mark Cuban or I got like a Kim Kardashian, that kind of person would put this over the top and it would automatically happen the next day.
Yeah.
So more than money, I'm looking for a face. I would like to put a face with this too. There's a couple of faces I know being in this business for this length of time. We're kind of hoping to pull some of these people in.
when you bring this up to someone who could be a face, how has the reception been? Do they get it? Are you because sometimes you're far enough ahead of the marketplace that everybody's like, what's Ron doing way over there in left field? Is that even Ron, or is that his brother Ken? And then you got to go, oh shit, I'm way the hell out here. Let me come back a little bit. How has that dynamic been for you? Like, do you feel like the market gets you yet, or are they still kind of trying to play catch up?
I think it's starting to get me. Even when we were doing the television network back in the 90s, it's very hard to get somebody that's well known because they're the deep pocket.
Right.
I know Chuck Norris. I know all of there's so many people in this industry that I know. Not only in this industry, but in other industry, in Hollywood and stuff like that. But deep pockets are hard to come up with. They always want to see everything work, and then they want to join in.
Right.
All right.
Yes.
You always run into that. That's and we're probably running into the same stuff, but I expect it.
Yeah.
I expect it. I just put something out to in the 90s. Wesley Snipes was supposed to come on board with us for the television network, the Martial Arts Action Network, and he was coming in for a tune of about $1 million. And then the markets went down. 9/11 happened. There was so many different things that took place, and we ended up he ended up going to jail for tax evasion. But now he's out, so we may talk to him again. I mean, I love that guy. He's really a good guy.
Yeah,
he's not a bad guy. And we were reading some stuff that you got this new movie out there, Black Panther, and somebody was telling me that he was.
This episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner
or at JohnLG69
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
Approached for doing something like that in the 90s. And I think he would have been great. You never know. We really don't know. But all I know is this is the time. We're looking for the marketing and we're looking for the investors. And let me give you an idea.
Yeah.
Peter, right now, there's a little controversy as to how many schools are in the United States, martial arts wise. And I'm only talking about this one business model.
Okay.
Just remember, it can be duplicated for every business model. Right now, somebody says there's like 78,000 martial arts schools within the United States. I don't know. I haven't verified that yet, so I don't want to use it. I was using 16,125. That's how many I was using. If there are 16,125 schools, brick and mortar schools in the United States, every one of those schools would have to have at least 125 students in order to pay the customary bills.
Right.
If you times those two numbers, it'll give you the annual people that are training in martial arts. So it's like a little over 2 million people are training in the martial arts. Then there's something that's called the MVP, the minimal viable product.
Right.
If the best case scenario, if every one of those 2 million people paid me the $25 annual fee, it's a $50 million annual project every year.
Right.
The least I can make is 1%, and that's still $500K.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
That's just martial arts. That's just martial arts. Do
Right.
that in dance, and dance is even probably bigger. Gymnastics. Do that in karaoke. Do that in acting, reading for scripts. Do that for anything you want.
Yeah. There's so many different things. So I know a guy named John Colson, and he has a thing called Psydog, and it's a virtual game where you compete. And it'll also sound familiar. And you compete in real time in basically any format, but it's more like video game avatar based kind of a situation. So like he envisions being like someone who plays the guitar. Like they're going to watch Lynyrd Skynyrd play live because they still go out and they play. And then you can play, and all of the other people on the network with you can play at the same time, and you're all competing to play just like as if you're playing with the band, because you are, but it's in a competition format. So whatever it's going to be, whatever kind of situation, it's a similar idea where we're going to be able to participate in these things. If it's a Billy Joel concert or it's the Conor McGregor fight that's coming up, whatever fight it's going to be, you can get out and in some way or another join in. So I love what you guys are doing.
You can participate. And the other thing too is we have a full utility patent on this.
Okay.
So that investors like to know that. I wanted to put that out there just in case of your audience, I can start getting phone calls here. That would be great.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely, if you guys have an interest in getting into something like this early on, definitely let me know. Again, at Pete A. Turner on Twitter, or you can grab Ron on LinkedIn. I want to turn the corner here and kind of bring it on home, but as you look to the future and you really get even further out, what do you see? How does this change? Is there an academic application? Is there a training application for things like surgeries? How do you, what's out there really far that you can kind of see, but you're not sure what it is? Because it'd be fun to have that in 10 years come back and go, remember when you thought that peanuts were going to, and then we have this crazy idea, but what are those crazy ideas, man?
Well, I tell you, and there are a lot of them. I keep telling people that this can open up into so many different areas. I was looking at charter schools. Charter schools basically don't really have physical ed programs.
Right.
Okay. This can be something that you can put into your charter school, and you could have these kids go ahead and compete. You got to remember, everybody that buys the platform, if a charter school purchased the platform, it's bringing in income for that charter school because they're making all of the money from the entry fees. All right. So let's say you had just that basketball free throw, right? So you get all of your kids to participate in that. You could do it in a hula hoop contest. You could do it in so many different things. Charity events, fundraisers, all can be done on here. So many different areas. Now, moving into the future, I really do. I know that this is the way everything's going. Everything's gone to the internet, and I don't expect competing to be any different. All right. It's definitely going to be out there. And I think I got it this far, and I know that there are so many more people that are smarter than I am that can see a useful, how this can plug into their business.
Yeah.
And utilize it in different ways. And I would love to talk to them. I have an ongoing thing where people can get me on Calendly. I think that's how you say that. Mm-hmm. And I take them through the platform. I show them step by step.
Oh, okay.
This is where you could do this. This is where you could do that, just so they have a really good idea. And like I said, again, it's a $95 one-time fee. It's almost ridiculous not to do it just in case.
Right.
Just in case it works. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're bringing up a great point. There's the investment side and trying to help make the big machine work, but the actual practical application, if you do have a dojo, if you're going to have, one of the Gracies come in and you're selling tickets, locally, why wouldn't you want to also create that buzz? Or maybe the Gracies want to have that, where they want to use the thing and take this class and let people come out and sort of compete and do the class with them, but not be bound to Downers Grove, Rick Sandom's studio. And I'm making all that stuff up. There is a Downers Grove, but I don't know what the dojo is there. But for $100, I mean, how many things do we spend $100 on? And you get a chance to do these things, whether it's a PE program. And think about this, man, Ron. Holy cow, you're right about the PE thing. I'm really big on yes, STEM is important, but so is PE, so is being able to weld, all these different things. So why not, if you're a parent, you're my kids aren't getting enough exercise or not competing enough, why not do this? Why not homeschool and have a PE program that's on this platform? I love that.
Another big thing. In the beginning of our conversation, we were talking about what happened in Parkland.
Yeah.
in today's lifestyle, I guess, years ago, when you were 18, you were drafted and you went in the Army, and you were taken out of your mother's house, and you were shown how to act and how things to do. And that's something that doesn't happen today. Today kids are living at home till they're 30, 40 years of age.
Yeah.
That's something that I think was a mistake to stop. Okay. I really, you have to have some kind of place, almost like a military school, where you're putting these kids that they are going to learn. Because if nobody's teaching them about discipline and respect and focus and control, how do you expect them to learn it? How do you expect them to know it? Where would their confidence levels be?
Right.
There's something there. There's something that has to be done. And the only one that's doing it is martial arts. It really is martial arts.
Yeah, you're right. There's an element. I mean, I don't want to see people forced into going to a war and all of the things, like the reasons why we got rid of the draft. But you're right, some kind of compulsory service where you get taken from your comfortable family life and you're pushed to well past your limits. I was listening to Jocko Willenick on Jordan Harbinger's show the other day, and he's like, people ask me all the time, how do I get up at 4 a.m? I get up.
Like, that's it. You just do it.
Okay. But it's hard. Like, no, it's not. You just get up and do it. Yeah. Like, you can allow that to be hard, or you can, and that's that military thing that you get. Like, if you want to get paid the next 2 months, you get out of bed and you stand still in front of a guy until they say you're here, and then you get to work and you get paid that month. If you don't, then you don't get paid. You still have to go outside.
That's it. It's amazing.
Right. Yeah, we do have to find ways to push ourselves, because as great as the modern society is and all this individualization that we're getting and all that kind of thing, yeah, we've got to find reasons to get off the couch and get into the real world. And even if the real world is in your garage running in place as fast as you can on a treadmill, that's as part of this virtual competition, then that's better than thinking about it or watching somebody else run around a track when you can be doing the same thing yourself. What about something like a home run derby, even if it's like wiffle ball style or something like that, where you have the ability to compete? How do you foresee something like that where you're playing, like say wiffle ball? Does that have to be part of the 3-person control thing, or could you set up a I don't know, a way to have a field that's marked off in a certain way, and you and your friend do home run derby against people from all over the nation?
Well, I tell you the truth. It's the way we would do it probably right now is every one of these videos becomes a little reality show for the person who's making it. Okay. You want them to get out in front of the camera. We're not only teaching them, in the martial arts, we always say, well, we're teaching them confidence, how to walk, how to talk. Well, this is also teaching that in media also. Mm-hmm. And who knows where that can go in years to come. So, you're building confidence in media, you're building confidence in person. These are the things. Make a 4-minute video, try to get yourself in front of a camera, see how you talk, watch your gait, how you walk, how you present yourself. This is what this does. And I see these kids doing this every day. And the videos get better and better. I have parents on the sidelines. I get kids in here. I have parents on the sideline that are crying watching them make their video, because all of a sudden that light comes on.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they see it. All of a sudden, you'll get Johnny, you'll be shy the first time. And, if you have the personality to go ahead and do this, pick up your voice. I can't hear a little mouse.
Right.
Walk different. Do this, and you're yelling and not yelling at the same time.
Right.
But the kids love it. The kids love it, and that's what you got to be able to do.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic, man. I really love it. And if no one else has told you today, thank you for doing this and trying to figure out new and modern ways to be more involved. If you express yourself through martial arts, great. Let's keep you out there competing. For the people that find the CrossFit competition thing great, like this, now you can make it bigger and better. All these things. If you are a homeschool parent and you want to get your kids into some kind of physical activity, this is a great platform. Man, I love that you're doing this, and I definitely want you to keep in touch and keep talking to us about how you do it, or let's even look at how we can support you guys as you do some kind of national event or whatever, because these are the things, these little projects that are life-changing are going to keep coming up from Boca Raton, from all kinds of towns, all sorts of places. People are figuring out ways to take this connectivity we have and make something good out of it, because there's plenty of negative things, but here we have something that clearly is going to get us up and get us moving. And as a middle-aged too heavy guy myself, my body's not going to feel better if I do less. I've got to work through and to keep my body moving just so I can have maintain my quality of life as long as possible. So thanks for inspiring me to do that.
No, that's true, because if you stop, it just gets worse. I think I might have sent that to you, but sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that. And we all fall into that. We all have these phones, we all have these computers, and we're constantly sitting. And I got news for you, that's worse than smoking.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of time in combat zones, and one of the things that takes a long time is just getting out to go do the administrative things that you have to do, because, a military area is big, so you walk from your office down the stairs, because you're in a blown up old Iraqi building, it's always 6 flights. So you get down to the bottom, you've already been doing downstairs or upstairs for a significant amount of time, and then you got to go walk 1.5 miles out to your container, and then you go out there, and then oh crap, I got to actually get rid of this trash. You end up walking 0.5 mile over to the trash can and coming back to your container, and then you move everything around in the container because it's got to be reorganized, and then and the next thing you know, you've done 6 hours of work, haven't accomplished anything, but look at the workout. I know. It's so easy to never get to those things, or just not to move enough. And man, anything that can encourage us all to move, we all need to move much more than we think we do. And again, thanks for that, man. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. They have on the competition site, we have a couple of different events that are taking place. And one of the events is school safety. So if you could come on and show us in a 4-minute video some of your ideas about school safety.
Nice.
We'll look at it, and we'll go ahead and the public will let you know. Star Votes and Views. It's fantastic. And the other one is we're looking for somebody who can sing the national anthem the right way. And right now we have Whitney Houston up there.
Wow.
Her rendition.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it right now, yeah.
She's the girl to beat, because if you could beat her, we want to know who you are.
Right? Yeah, I mean, that is the gold standard. You can get better than that. I mean, they used to use that video, you remember these days, to close back when TV stations would shut down for the night. She'd be the last thing you'd see was her singing the national anthem. That's how good she sang.
Amazing. So it's, these things are coming on now, and hopefully we'll get some takers. People are still finding out about it, we don't get.
They will, and there's a lot of things to sort through too. So it's cool that we're able to help give you guys a voice, because, again, I'm going to say it again: we all need to move more. We need our kids to move more, because, it's not like the old days. We used to be that. At any point in time during the day, I was out the door, outside, running, throwing a ball, throwing a rock, getting tackled, something, and unsupervised. Just kids playing things. It just doesn't happen like that anymore. It's always play dates and this sport or that sport. And those kids get to do that, but there's a lot of people that just aren't into that. And so, again, we got to all keep moving. Hey, he's Ron Tromantano, and he's from Boca Raton, Florida. He is your sensei, and he wants you to get out there and get to chopping and get to work. Ron, what do you have for us in closing? Anything else?
Well, I tell you the truth. It's funny, because you just mentioned something, and I just put on my Facebook the handball. Somebody threw up a video of the guys in New York playing handball.
Yeah.
You want to see what we used to do as kids? That's what we used to do.
Right.
And you talk about a workout. You ain't getting any better than handball.
Yeah, handball's fantastic workout. Both kinds. I love European handball too. I mean, that's also a fantastic back and forth, jumping, throwing, running, all those things mixed into one. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Good things. All right, man. Hey, I appreciate your time and thank you for coming on the show with us. And really, it's a neat opportunity to get to meet all these people on the forefront of something. And I appreciate you taking the time.
Peter, thank you for the opportunity. I really do appreciate it. In closing, I have to say, hey, if you missed Google, if you missed Facebook, if you missed Instagram, this could possibly be the next one. Don't miss it.
There you go. Fair enough. All right, everybody. Ron Tromantano.